The multiverse was a vast sea of infinite possibilities, timelines stretching across boundless dimensions, each ruled by its own logic, its own physics, its own truths. And in this ocean of existence, two beings stood apart from all others. Mr. Mxyzptlk, the mischievous imp from the fifth dimension, and Dr. Manhattan, the quantum god of the Watchmen universe. They should never have met, but entropy was on the rise. Across realities, the barriers between dimensions began to thin. Portals pulsed in deep space, stars flickered like memories, and entire timelines were being rewritten or consumed. At the center of this upheaval was something strange, a fluctuation not born of malice or science, but of boredom. Mr. Mxyzptlk, the prankster, the impossible trickster, had grown restless. His usual games with Superman had lost their charm. The rules were too familiar, the reactions too predictable. Even flipping galaxies upside down or turning Batman into a musical tap dancer no longer made him chuckle. What he desired was a challenge, a mind not just brilliant but metaphysically different. A soul so disinterested in play that forcing it into a game would be the ultimate joke. He scanned the multiverse for such a being, and he found Dr. Manhattan. John Osterman had long since abandoned the petty concerns of humanity. On Mars, then in time itself, then in the very fabric of existence, he wandered like a god without purpose. He could see past, present, and future simultaneously. He could manipulate atoms, birth life from dust, or erase entire cities with a thought. But he did not play. He did not laugh. He did not jest. He was everything Mxyzptlk wasn't. And for that very reason, he was irresistible. With a snap of his fingers, Mr. Mxyzptlk peeled open the fabric between dimensions, stepping into a world where time was a single, unmoving point. He stood on the red sands of Mars, where Manhattan often meditated alone, surrounded by floating structures and crystalline reflections of his thoughts. "Hello, Blue Baldy," Mxyzptlk sang, floating in a tuxedo while juggling Saturn's rings. "I hear you're the stiffest stiff in all stiffdom. I just had to meet you." Dr. Manhattan opened his eyes, all three of them. "You are not of this reality," he said calmly. "You're not governed by quantum mechanics." Bingo! Gold star for the shiny naked man. Mxyzptlk twirled midair, morphing into a parody of John in glowing blue, then into a cosmic clown version of Einstein. John didn't respond. His mind simultaneously calculated the probability of an encounter like this and found it impossible, which paradoxically made it inevitable. "I see all points of time," Manhattan said, "yet I cannot see where this ends." "Exactly," whispered, eyes gleaming. "Because this isn't time, it's a joke, and you, big guy, are about to be the punchline." But even as the imp giggled and rewrote the Martian landscape into a surreal Salvador Dali painting, Dr. Manhattan remained unfazed. He raised a single hand and with a pulse of blue light restored reality to its original quantum state. Mxyzptlk's head spun like a record. "Ooh, serious boy has tricks. I like it." Mxyzptlk had danced through infinite universes, bent rules like taffy, and turned gods into ducks. But never had he met a being who could rewrite reality with logic. Dr. Manhattan was not bound by linearity or emotion. His power wasn't chaos, but perfect structure. Cold, elegant, precise. What the imp saw as dullness was actually Manhattan's vast inner universe, one that didn't resist change through force, but through sheer inevitability. And for Manhattan, Mxyzptlk was not just an anomaly. He was a challenge to the very structure of causality, a being who existed beyond science, beyond determinism, a being who made no sense. The ripple between them grew. "Come on, Doc," Mxyzptlk cackled, conjuring a court of clowns in blue radiation suits. "Let's see if I can make you laugh, or if you can make me care." I do not desire conflict, Manhattan said. Too late, the imp barked, now wearing a referee's outfit. The arena is set. The gloves are off. Let's play existential dodgeball. And so the multiverse shuddered. The fifth dimension twisted into timelines, quantum threads tangled with impossible logic. The meeting of chaos and determinism had begun. A battle not just of power, but of meaning. Because sometimes the universe doesn't end with a bang or a whimper. Sometimes it ends with a joke and a glow. The sky split like parchment as Mr. Mxyzptlk twisted reality into knots. Saturn became a yo-yo. The Martian surface danced with checkerboard patterns. Physics lost meaning. Bet you didn't see this coming? The imp giggled, stretching his arms into infinity and swatting Manhattan with a planet-sized pie. Dr. Manhattan reformed instantly from particles, unfazed. You operate without causality, but you're still aware. Boring. Mxyzptlk rolled his eyes, suddenly in a court jester outfit, bouncing on time loops. Can we please turn your frown upside down? With a snap, he rewrote the timeline, Manhattan's past unraveling, rewinding his origin until John Osterman was a child again, standing inside a snow globe. For most beings, that would be a defeat. But John smiled, not with joy, but with understanding. You're not invincible, he said, reassembling himself as his full, glowing form. You're lonely. Mxyzptlk paused mid-laugh. I perceive all timelines. In one of them, you're quiet, desperate for someone who won't flinch at your madness. You want a reaction you've never had before. The imp's eyes widened just for a second, and that moment was all Manhattan needed. He extended his hand. I cannot play, but I can understand. Blue light surged, not to destroy, but to contain. Quantum logic wrapped around the imp like threads of inevitability, shaping a conceptual prison, not of walls, but of recognition, of acceptance. A state where Mxyzptlk's chaos had no fuel, because the punchline had already been seen. Mxyzptlk tried to blink it away, snap his fingers, reset the joke, but nothing changed. Wah, hey, this isn't funny anymore. Exactly, Manhattan said quietly. The imp began to fade, not vanishing, but retreating into his dimension, forced back by a being who did not resist with power, but with stillness, with presence. And as he vanished, his voice echoed, "This isn't over, blue boy. One day I'll find your tickle spot." Dr. Manhattan stood alone on Mars once more. The universe reassembled, unchanged, yet subtly altered. Because for the first time in his existence, John had faced unpredictability and chosen understanding over obliteration. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.